want to talk about the different eras of my school life. All right, so this isn't going to be like, everybody's school life. This is just going to be mine and mine alone. And I want to start at the very beginning of my school life. So we're going to talk about preschool, first grade, second grade. We're going to go through all the grades, like how I remember it. So for anyone that's going to be like, yo, what about this part you left out? Because, there's some people who went to school with me and it's like, that part I just didn't remember. But, anyways, so I want to start with like preschool. All right. So, my preschool life, I remember very little of, but there was like one to two things that I remember, or a few things I do remember when I was going to preschool when I was a young little kid, when I was very young. This is when I was very young. So, keep in mind, I was that age then. This doesn't mean now. All right. So two to three things were certain. I remember one day I was a little kid. I didn't know what school was. I was getting on the bus for the first time or first few times, and we were going to the preschool or the kindergarten or whatever. I think it was like preschool. It was either preschool or like first grade, either one of the two, right? I'll just mix these two since they're like practically the same because I don't remember. Like I said, my memory um is very faint. By the way, time I welcome to the stream. My memory of this is very faint. It's like it's very little, very barely existing. I barely remember a lot actually. But anyways, my point is I remember I think I had feelings for somebody. Um it was a feeling at the time I couldn't explain, but I really loved this girl named Sophie. Keep in mind, we were both in the same grade, the same class then, and I remember like every time I was around her, I kind of got like Hinata Hyuga from Naruto, where it's like the nervousness, like and whatnot. Just being in that person's general vicinity was way too much for me to kind of like handle. Um, and I don't know. And it was like this weird feeling because my heart would race, um my feelings for her would race, and since I was little, I couldn't really express my feelings, to her at all. And I just remember that like so clearly because that's the one thing I remember from like way back in my early days of school was. By the way, Lord Draco, welcome. I really liked this girl. I really did, and I couldn't put it into words until so much later in my life that I actually genuinely liked her. Like that was the first crush, or however you want to say it, in my entire life. And it was so early on in my life. And what is it? I remember that, and then I remember another girl kind of kissing me on the cheek, which I hope she's doing okay now. I think her name was Haley, if I remember correctly. I can't remember like specifically, but there was I liked another girl, and then another girl I think liked me, but like we didn't know what that meant at the time, so I didn't know what a kiss on the cheek meant. I was kind of like Goku, kind of oblivious and kind of unknowing of fucking everything. Since my brain, since I'm a preemie and stuff, basically I'm not on the same level as like an average kid right now, right? I'm kind of behind the average kid in terms of thought process and whatnot, but I've been constantly improving as the years go along. So since I was very young then, I was even younger in the mind then, you know. But that was my point. That was like preschool slash first grade stuff. And I would argue like second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, I can start remembering stuff. But like around those other grades, I don't really remember too much other than like me. Like I remember early on in elementary school, like we're going to skip kindergarten because I don't remember kindergarten at all, to be honest with you. But I do remember elementary school. Like I did so much different types of stuff in elementary school. Like I remember me and my brother Louis. I'm gonna go play Roblox. Guy, bye. Let me see. My friend is playing too. Okay. Amy and Safa. Okay. But I remember my brother and I, we were going to the same elementary school, and my brother would be so huggy with me. Every time he would see me, like he'd be so huggy, and I remember like since back then, like I said, my brain is way younger than like what I actually am at that time, which at this time I was in elementary school. So if I was elementary around third, fourth, fifth, not fifth, but second, third, or fourth grade, around this time period, I did a lot of stupid stuff that got me kicked out. I was punching teachers. I was giving them black eyes. I was biting. I wanted to get away from my brother Louis. I felt like my brother Louis was way too huggy, way too clingy, way too all over me back in school. Now, this was just my brother loving me. I clearly see that now, but back then, I was a little fucking monster. And plus, keep this in mind, this is when my ADHD, my autism, all that stuff was like on an all-time high, like all the time. And my anger was developing. My anger was coming through. I was doing all sorts of heinous things to those teachers, those teacher aides that were trying to help me. No one understood me, too, at this time. No one understood like what was going through my head. Why did I want out of school? Why did I want to get out of there? Why was I doing those bad things? I was doing those bad things to get away from my brother Lubit, for one, and two, I really hated being in school. I was struggling a lot to be in school, and I don't know. I just had outbursts. I just had rage-inducing outbursts all the time. I remember ripping my shirt off and running out of class. Yeah, I was that fucking psyched back then. I barely remember it, but I remember it like it was yesterday, like to me in my head sometimes, where like little me would go crazy, like bananas and stuff. Yeah, dude, like I said, my ADHD was really bad back then. And I remember it was getting so bad that I needed to take medication between this time. Or at a later date, I needed to start taking pills and medicine to calm my ADHD and all that other crap down so I can actually go to school, without some sort of shit. But anyways, that's later on though. But anyways, so after all these outbursts from elementary school, I got kicked out of Ellsworth Elementary. That's the thumbnail, by the way. Ellsworth Elementary was the first elementary school I ever went to, which me and my brother went to the same one. But anyways, I got kicked out of that school. I got kicked out of the school because of my behavior, my bad behavior, and all sorts of stuff, right? I got kicked out for that. So I went to the next elementary school, which is Harmon Elementary School. And I remember when I got transferred, I was like, yes, I'm finally away from Lubit. Because like I said, I didn't, for some reason, I like Lubit, but I don't like Lubit all at the same time. So keep this in mind, that my energy was so different compared to like right now, right? But anyways, so after I got away from Louis and all this other stuff, all this new stuff overflowing me and whatnot, and so on and so forth, I think, what's up, boy? Dang, bro, sucks to be you. Yeah, anime lover, it probably did suck to be me, but I didn't care. I wish I could go back to elementary school. I don't ever wish to go back to elementary school. Probably middle school and high school I would, because I remember those periods of my life a little bit more than elementary. But anyways, so I was in Harmon for a long period of time. I'm talking a long period of time until something like pissed me off and I started acting out again. And no, and the thing is, Ellsworth and Harmon, right? They didn't have special needs kids. They didn't have any of that. They at least to my knowledge, in those schools, they didn't know how to handle someone like me. Okay? And at this time, like I said, I used to have outbursts. I used to freak out. I used to do all sorts of shit. I used to do all sorts of bad shit. And, whenever I would freak out, I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would shut everybody out. I would only talk to, like, not even my loved ones I would talk to. And since I had no one in Harmon, when I acted out, no one could get to me. I was practically, like, invulnerable to wanting to talk about my feelings or whatever, unless I really liked you. I think that's how it was back in the day. Unless I really liked you like that, I would tell you what's going on. But it would take me a while to tell you what's going on, like a long period of time, because since I used to shut everybody out and never communicate my feelings whatsoever, it would take a really long time before I wanted to even tell what the hell was going on with me. And that's why Harmon, called Mr. Romaine. You're going to see Mr. Romaine later in this story. This was around, I think, fifth grade maybe or something. And I remember one of my other teachers that brought me to her classroom because I wouldn't do any work. I wouldn't do anything. I would just draw on the walls. I would just do all sorts of shit. This was the first time I saw Mr. Romaine ever in my life. This is something I will forever remember in my elementary days. Mr. Romaine going all the way from Simonton Elementary all the way to Ellsworth to come see what the fuck he's dealing with. Keep in mind, Mr. Romaine was wearing shades that would cover his face. He's rocking this fucking... He's a big old man. At this time, I was not even 5 foot yet. I was still 4 something, maybe 3 foot something. I wasn't even at my fullest height. All right? Keep this in mind. When seeing giant old 5'8", 5'9", Mr. Romaine, the height that I am now, just towering over me. Big old hairy arms, big old beard, looking like goddamn wood chopper. Looking like a goddamn person who does wood, that chops wood down. Freaking axe thing or whatever. Do you love anime? Because I do. It's so cool, bro. Me and my bro watch it every day. Yo, anime is dope. I've been watching anime for like over 10 years now. Like, yeah, more than 10 years, actually. Like 12, 13, maybe 14 years I've been watching anime. Lumber Guy. Yeah, Lumber Guy. Thank you, Exo Lars. Thank you for Lumber Guy. Yeah, Mr. Rain was looking like that. So imagine me trying to go up against that at my small size and age. Fuck no. But anyways, I saw him. I took one look, and I think I actually straightened... It's either I straightened up my act, or, like, I continued to act out. Because that's a different man right there that I saw, right? And I had no idea what was happening, but the teacher aide and Mr. Romaine were talking back and forth. She was telling Mr. Romaine how bad I was as a kid. She was telling him that Alex doesn't want to listen. Alex doesn't want to do this. Alex doesn't want to do that and whatnot. I don't know how to handle him. This school doesn't know how to handle him. Doesn't know how to handle people like that. So, after a while, I think, in Harmon Elementary, I don't think I straightened up. I think I actually slowly but surely was getting worse. And I love One Piece, too. I have a Luffy hat that, for some reason, everyone gets the yellow one, but it's fucking tan. But anyways, my point is, right? In Harmon, I think I started acting out more, or I just wasn't going to do anything. So, my mom and dad had to pull me from Harmon and put me in Simonton. But the fucked up part was since I didn't know, like, what school or where I was going and whatnot in terms of, like, school. I thought I was still going to Harmon. I went on that bus. I was like, weird bus number. Why is it in front of my house? Got on the bus, new bus driver, new fucking bus aide. Right? I'm going on this bus. We driving. And what is it? We go over to the school, or we're just driving, and I'm wondering, what the is going on here? And keep in mind, I was little. I think I was going into either 3rd or 4th grade at this time, because I remember I was in Elder Harmon 1st, 2nd, maybe 3rd, somewhat half a 3rd or half a 4th, going into, Simonton. So keep this in mind. So when I was going to Simonton Elementary, we were picking up all these different sort of kids. Keep in mind, this is my first time going on a special needs bus. Now, a special needs bus, to explain this real quick, a special needs bus / a special needs kid bus is basically where all the kids with disabilities, special needs, all that stuff go on to. And instead of stopping at a bus sign for all the kids to get on, this bus will go to your house specifically, like, to pick you up and drop you off at your house. All right, they won't drop you off at a bus stop and expect your kid to figure out how to make it their way home. they bring you to your house. So the fact that a bus randomly pulled up at my house and I had no idea about it, but my mom and dad did, but they didn't tell me shit. I honestly felt not betrayed, but I felt like something was very wrong. And I felt like they should have told me, but my mom and dad, they didn't tell me that I was transitioning to another school during this time. So when I was transitioned to from Harmon to Symington, on that bus, keep in mind when we were picking up all these new fucking strangers, and keep this in mind, strangers, total strangers. I have no idea who these kids are. I have no idea where I'm going. I kind of miss my brother Louie at this point because at least I recognize him. And the friends I did make in Ellsworth and Harmon at the time, I don't remember their names, but I did punch a few kids and gave them bloody noses and whatnot back then too, in earlier grades, because I was just destructive and angry. But like I said, let me continue the story. So all these freaking kids that I had no idea about were pulling up on their houses. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And this is where my brain was starting to kind of break because I had no idea where I was going. In terms of school, no idea, no idea. New kids, and then when we got to the school, bro, day one, I wanted the fuck out of there. I remember as soon as I got off the bus with these freaky ass fucking alien kids, because, and by the way, what I mean by aliens is like they are. I have no idea who they are. They are completely alien to me, not like immigrants or anything. For anyone that's thinking that far or that crazy, no. No, not to that extent at all. But my point is I had no idea who they were. And I remember day one, I think I got off that bus. I went to that new classroom. I didn't know what the fuck anything was. I was sitting there looking. I dipped. I didn't want to go back. I kind of ran out. I was trying to run out of the building. Because if you guys remember, I would run, like I said, no, Ellsworth. I ran out of the building. And again, I did run out of buildings a lot in this time period. But I remember day one, I was running out of the building, kind of wanting my mom and dad because no one informed me that I was going to a new school. That I went to a new school with new people and no one I could recognize. So basically, like, it's like my mom and dad put me in a school where I was, like, all alone in, right? And yes, I know, I wanted to be away from the one person that was guaranteed going to be there with me, like my brother Lubit, for a period of time. But, hey, man, it was a different me, different time zone. I did what I did. But I remember after I freaked out that first day and I think, because I can't remember if I was restrained back or I actually walked back. Take it what you will with that bit of the story, but I mostly think I was restrained like one time. I think it was by Mr. Romaine or by the other chick. I cannot remember her name for my fucking life. I am not even going to lie to you. I remember after I got restrained one time, you know, or I had one freak out in Harmon one time, or Symington one time, I completely changed my whole attitude, I think. Like, I was not acting bad. I wasn't acting like I was tough. I mean, I never acted like I was the toughest nigga around, because I knew I was not the toughest kid around back then. But my point was then, after I had that freak out about not having my mom and dad, you know, I think they explained to me what I'm doing here, and whatnot, so on and so forth, or who the fuck is this, or whatever. But I remember after a while, I had a freak out. You know, they allowed me to kind of calm down and whatnot. And if I remember correctly, I was in her class, and then Mr. O'Main had a class. They both had a class, if I remember correctly. Or if I'm remembering wrong, I don't know. But I remember being in Mr. O'Main's class. Because we had like 3-4 different teachers. Like, my memory is getting hazy when it comes to elementary nowadays. I just remember Mr. O'Main, a little bit of Mr. Rubicaba. I think Louis would probably remember better than me at my own fucking memories if I transplanted my brain in him or something. But my point is at this time in school, After one freak out, I remembered I never freaked out again. That is something I vividly fucking remember. Look, Symington kids compared to Ellsworth and Harmon kids are a different fucking breed. They're a different breed. The special needs in Symington, different breed. I remember, I think it was either day one, day two, day three. I decided just to be a goody two shoes, I think. Because I remember hearing other kids go in that wall and slam the shit out of it, like louder than how I destroy my stuff nowadays, right? These kids would destroy the walls. These kids would tear it up. They would kick it so loud. Like I said, my memory of a lot of this is very bad, especially during this time, because like I said, elementary was really bad for me in terms of like memory, because I remember things very, very faintly, very, very okay. Like I don't remember a whole lot. So if I'm missing a lot, then fuck it. I'm missing a lot because I just cannot remember. But my point is, right, on all this story so far, is that I remembered, not fucking with Mr. Maine and finding out because other kids did that shit for me and they were getting restraints that I have never seen before. I remember being restrained. I never wanted that again, I think, after my first time being restrained. Because my teachers back in school, they would have restraining techniques. And I mean restraining techniques because they couldn't, physically harm them. So they had to restrain them until they calmed down, using all their strength to restrain and whatnot, right? So seeing that for the first time, especially like towards like new kids and whatever, because they got some serious anger issues or whatever, I remember seeing that and I was freaked the fuck out. Because don't get me wrong, my freakouts were bad, but it was never as bad as like all of these kids later in my life. I swear to God, they were all worse than me. Matter of fact, I think I needed to be put in there to kind of show me like, yo, if you keep acting like this might happen to you. And I think that was a great example for little me to understand that like being that destructive and whatnot is not going to get you anywhere. You know what I mean? So I decided to be a goody two shoes while everyone kind of around me was acting out / having issues and fits and shit. Like I would get mad, but I would never like destroy stuff. But I remember seeing Mr. Maine in certain grades, and then Mr. Maine kind of fizzled out of my life for a little bit because he decided to I think go to a different school. So we got a new teacher called Mr. Rubicaba. And by the way, Mr. Rubicaba in this time period was one of the best teachers I ever had, because not only he taught me well, but like he had so many computers and video games and whatnot. I remember so many normal kids that would pass by our classroom were so fucking salty. They wanted to come in that classroom just to play video games because we had the PCs. Keep in mind, this was the time period when I played Plants vs. Zombies 1, Bookworm, Bookworm Deluxe, aka Bookworm, Bookworm Deluxe, as in, that Bookworm game for the Game Boy Advance. It's also on their computers back then. This was the period where I played one of the first few FPS games I ever played, which was like this paintball shooting game. This was also the time where I played Bookworm Adventures. This is the time where I was wearing cowboy boots. This was the time period where, fuck, I can't remember if Troy was in my life in elementary school or not. Yeah, Troy was in my life elementary school-wise, where I got in that fight with him and I beat his ass. This was a period of time. It was either elementary or middle school that happened. But my point is my elementary life after I moved to Symington was peaceful because I made a lot of friends. I made my new friend Aaron, and all the kids in that fucking classroom were practically my friend. And if they didn't like me, they just didn't tell me that straight up to my face or anything. So, I did have a few niggas like EB. EB, I don't know why, but EB, Austin, Aaron, Parker, they're like the ones that come to my mind immediately when I think of back in the day. Oh, Lorenzo. I think of Lorenzo from middle school because middle school was peak. But because I remember him for annoyances. But anyways, like I said, elementary school for me And most of those grades back then, I was destructive. I was taught a lesson, and that's that. That was elementary school. Middle school, I remember way more of because I had a lot of things happen to me in middle school. Like, I remember when I was going to middle school after being in sixth grade. Oh, wait, actually, you know what? I do remember one more thing. Sixth graders having to be pushed back to the elementary school. That is something I do remember because my middle school used to be sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, but now it went. I remember the middle school and the elementary made a decision to put sixth grade back in the elementary school instead of being in the middle school with all the middle school kids and whatnot. So that's interesting. But anyways, my point is, let's go back to what I was talking about. About middle school. Middle school, I remember very fondly because this was the first time I saw Mr. Romaine in about 3 years, I think 2 or 3 years. Because Mr. Romaine, after a while, he said, fuck this elementary school pay and decided to, hello, Shy Guy in the background. Yeah, I got a Shy Guy plush right there. But, gotta go. See you later, Tom Matt. Thank you so much for watching as long as you did. What is it? I remember being so happy to see Mr. Romaine because this is the time when me and Mr. Romaine never had beef. Matter of fact, I think me and Mr. Romaine, like, I could argue a lot of people when I was going to middle school, I think a lot of people that were having issues with Mr. Romaine and whatnot would like to call me teacher's pet. Or teacher's little fucking buddy or something, right? And the reason I think this right now is because there was a lot of people in my class, like Evie, Andre, for example, and a lot of other kids that would always give Mr. Romaine trouble. And I mean trouble as in, like, you know, he has to restrain them, he has to yell at them, he has to do all sorts of shit to these middle school kids, right? And I got to witness it all. That's why 7th grade was so different for me, because if I remember correctly, again, you know, this is also like around the time where my mom passed away and stuff, and I was dealing with that while going to school, elementary school and whatnot. Or not elementary, middle school. But I do remember, like, the reason why I feel like they would call me teacher's pet, because I would never act out. I'd be like one of those kids that would never act out in school, ever. I loved my teacher aides in middle school for the first year or second year. I don't know why, but I just did. Because just in the moment, because that's how my thought process was back then. I just really liked my teacher aides because they were fun to hang around. And Mr. Romaine was fun to hang around. So I'm going to love this class. And I was happy to see him again. I was like, Mr. Romaine, Alex, yo, how you doing? You know, like, how you do? Because I remember me and my brother went to Mr. Romaine. I was like, Mr. Romaine, this is my brother Louie, before middle school actually started. And when we were getting on the campus, see everybody, I was like, Mr. Romaine's here? You know, and I kind of bolted to him because I have a long history of Mr. Romaine being like my teacher, being one of my favorite teachers, and arguably still one of my favorite teachers, even though, like I said, stuff's about to get rocky. But I remember Mr. Romaine and I, we've been through it together, man. Those years when he first saw me all the way back in elementary school to middle school, man, like, we've had it. We've had a journey together. He was there. One thing I would still, like, really respect Mr. Romaine for during this time period, and also keep in mind, middle school was crazy as well before I get to the Mr. Romaine stuff as well. Like, during all this, the fight with Troy happened, where I was sick of his shit, got in a fight with him. I bodied him. I actually hit him in the template of the head. He went down crying. I ran away because I was so scared. I had no idea what the fuck I did. Because, keep in mind, everyone in my life before this are way stronger than me. I have fought people like Malo. I fought people like Devin. I fought people like, well, not Louis. Well, Louis I do fight, but, you know, that's always one-sided, you know. Sometimes, maybe, like, I roughhouse a lot with all sorts of people that were bigger than me, stronger than me. I know they can topple me, so I'm used to being not the strongest guy around, or the strongest guy even out of 2 people. Unless it's like Louis or something in this time period, because Louis doesn't fight. He's a kind of pacifist or whatever. But my point is, right, And this is also during the stuff with the, well, no, I think the Tony shit happened either sometime in middle school or high school. I can't remember exactly one to one. I think I have to ask Louis about that. But if that's not during school, that was out of school. But during the Troy stuff, the reason why I mentioned the Troy stuff is because it affected us a lot more in school. I remember after I beat Troy's ass, Troy just became a fucking devil. And I mean a devil because he would act out in class. I mean, Troy was also getting bullied in high school. Keep this in mind, too, by almost everyone in the class. Like, he was getting his chair swept from under him from Tyler, which everyone in the entire class laughed at him for. And I remember, this was 2014, so keep this in mind. Troy wasn't, like, the straightest kid. And because everyone kind of found that out, everyone in class kind of made fun of him for that, too. I remember, like, in cafeteria and lunchtime, everyone was kind of making fun of Troy on that aisle that he was gay or whatever. Yes, I know, it's homophobic and pretty fucked up, but keep in mind, we're all kids here. And we're all pretty damn young, middle schoolers. We don't know jack shit. But the point is, right, we all made fun of him for that. And I think that's why Troy went on his fucking villain arc. After being bullied so much and, and whatnot. But, and maybe what I did when I, got in a fight with his ass, kind of did something to him too. But after all that stuff, like, Troy was acting like a fucking menace. He tried to drown my friend in a fucking water fountain, like dunking his head in the water fountain and shit. He was disobeying teachers and all sorts of shit. He was doing all sorts of bad shit behind the scene. I remember it was so bad sometimes that Troy purposely, to piss me off, he would flip me off. He would do all sorts of shit in the background of me because he knew how to piss me off. He was like my version of Dio. It was bad how bad this man was. Try to get under my skin. Ever since I kicked his ass, he would always try to get under my skin as well. And he would do stuff to the teacher aides and other students in the class as well. He wasn't just picking on me. He was picking on people shorter than him, weaker than him, and all sorts of stuff. And even towards my best friends, too. And then what he would do in between classes is he would cock block me, visit my own brother, because, keep in mind, Louis and I were in the same high school or middle school at the time, because it was the only middle school in our area. But since, me and Louis in middle school, we would love to reunite. We would love to see each other because, keep in mind, in elementary school, 2 different time periods, we would get home at 2 different times. So we wouldn't see each other all day, right? For the most part. And then, Louis would already be home when I was still in elementary while he was going to middle, because middle school, their school clocked out at like 2:10. I clocked out at like 3:55, in terms of my time. Well, that was high school, but that was when I was in middle school. But you get my point, right? Me and Louis barely see each other in middle school. We would only see each other passing in one class because his class with Miss Ridge, by the way, shout outs to Miss Ridge. She was one of the best teachers ever. But me and Louis, we would only see each other during passing periods because one class, Miss Ridge's class, was in the same building as my special needs class. So when I would try to go get Louis, Troy would be like, "Yo, what's up, dude?" And I mean purposely. This wasn't an accident. He didn't do it once. He didn't do it twice. I'm talking every single motherfucking time I would see this fucker. He knew the time zone. Okay, Alex is going to go out. I'm going to ask to go to the bathroom. And then he would try to cock block me in terms of trying to meet my own brother because we wouldn't meet a lot. And also, this is the point in time where I did hit my brother in the back of the head in the middle of class because kids egged me on. I was fucking a retard for that. Just want to, kind of throw that in there because I kind of forgot about it until just now. Yo, Alan, if I can go back in time and mack you in the head, okay, I would. Though that'd probably fuck up the timeline. But anyways, my point is, right, is I remember, like I said, Troy would do this stuff. And I remember me and Louis, and this was crazy. Me and Louis, we were planning on actually beating his ass. I am not joking. This motherfucker Troy would try to cock block me, and Louis noticed this too. This is something that Louis noticed. Louis noticed when I would try to see him, because that would be the only time period we were able to see each other before we go home, and then the rest of the afternoon we see each other, or somewhat time, because remember, Louis always loved being in his room and whatnot. But anyways, at this time, I was a little bit less wanting to be away from him, so we'd give a hug and dab each other up and whatnot, because Louis is the only person that I'd fucking recognize from before everything. So Seeing Louis meant a lot to me. I know, funny reversal how in Ellsworth and stuff, I didn't give a fuck, but in a middle school, I give a fuck. Too bad Louis was bullied after I left, though. Niggas did not want to fuck with me in Ellsworth. They probably heard one thing about me and they didn't want to do nothing. But my point still stands, right? But all that. Me and Louis wanted to beat Troy's ass so badly because, you ain't gonna cock block Allen from seeing Louis and vice versa. And the teachers got word of this and they wanted to stop me from beating his ass. Like me and Louis actually jumping his ass, and they thought of a different idea, all right, to get Troy back. This was awesome because I remember I said, I'm going to go out. And this is one of the coolest things Mr. Romaine ever did for me. And I don't know if I ever told Louis this. Mr. Romaine, right after I went out to go visit my brother because Mr. Romaine knows that I love my brother to death. He knows the both of us, so he loves us. He caught Troy trying to cock block us, and right after I went in the classroom, and I told Mr. Romaine about this too, because I trusted him a lot. And Mr. Romaine dealt with Troy right after that. Troy got in trouble for that, and he's not allowed to go out when I go out to visit my brother anymore. So that's why, and I was so happy because Mr. Romaine did that for me and whatnot, and all that. And keep in mind, guys, Troy was a menace to the point that I was even helping other kids when they were dealing with Troy. Because I'm the type of guy that doesn't like it when people, and yes, I know I was a bully to Louis and whatnot, but I was a little different during this time period. I mean, I was still a bully to Louis, but my point is I didn't like it when people tried to fuck with my friends. You know what I mean? I really didn't like that, especially what happened with Aaron and the water fountain stuff. Dunking his head in it and saying, suffer, bitch. When Troy did that to Aaron, I wanted to fight him again that day, too. But no, the bus aide was stopping me and whatnot and so on. Because I was going to go up there and kick his ass. No joke. I was going to go up and do that again. Swear to God, I was going to do that. I was going to do that. But my point is Mr. Romaine had my back so many times, and I would be getting in so many instances with Troy trying to fuck with all sorts of other people, and all the other kids in the class were also trying to complain to the teachers about Troy's incidents and whatever. And what is it? I was always there to back them up because I know Troy when he's on his bullshit. I was like the only kid for a long time that knew what Troy was on, what Troy's goals were to try to sabotage me and try to ruin my life a little bit during this time period. I know him. I know him to death. I mean, don't even get started what happened to my buddy Aaron in the fucking bounce house at his birthday party. I had to calm that nigga down. Funny enough, because I was way less angry than him. But anyways, my point is, right, is Troy was a menace, and I remember after everything, the teachers pulled me aside, and even the teachers, after a long time, they finally realized, they finally saw what Troy was doing, and guess what, bro? Everyone in that class stopped respecting him. I'm talking about the teachers started believing that he was lying all the time, that every kid in that class knew he was lying all the time, all because of my efforts. And I remember Mr. Romaine and the teacher aide pulled me aside and said, you are this class's hero for doing all this stuff, for defending the kids in class against this man. No matter what you did, or no matter what he did, you were on those kids' side to help them out. And I actually felt like a hero for a little bit, because I only did what I thought was right. By being by my friends in that class's side whenever Troy fucked with them. Or tried to make a lie and try to get away with it. With that shit, man. And I remember, ever since after everyone started hating him, his life was so miserable. I remember that shit like it was yesterday. Now, don't get me wrong. Seeing somebody miserable sucks, right? But he deserved some of it for trying to fuck with my friends, in school. He deserved it all the fucking way. All the way, man. Deserved it all the way. He deserved what was coming to him. And slowly after that, Troy was just getting worse and worse to the point that I remember he got kicked out of my school, my middle school, because he was getting so bad that he had to go to a school, I think where Tyler went, where it's where bad kids go, even worse kids that can't do regular school, they go into like this different type of school where it's all about not military, but it's like way rougher, way more harsh, way more whatever type of school. They went out of my school over there. And I remember after Troy was out of my life, middle school for 7th grade was the best, some of the best time of my life. Because after Troy went, everyone was peaceful, the whole class was peaceful and whatnot. And that year was great. 8th grade. 8th grade for me in middle school was rough. I think I was 8th grade when my mom passed away. But my point is, 8th grade for a fat majority of it was really good. I was in my classes, me and Mr. Main were talking, laughing, and all the kids were cool, chilling. When I was in 8th grade, seeing all those other little kids, all my friends come back to the grade that were younger than me, come back and be in the special needs class with some new ones, meeting Austin and whatever for the first time. That was cool. But anyways, that was cool and all introductions. It was all great for the first half of the year, or maybe more than half. Maybe like for the majority of it, it was really good. And then there was a lot of in-between stuff. Like I think I liked another girl for the first time in my life in a long time. I liked another girl. Her name was Hope. And I remember Mr. John Baptiste, the teacher, my teacher, counselor, or whatever, was really trying to help me out during this time. Because like I said, 8th grade was a different time period for me. I remember my mom dying. Mr. Romaine was there. That's why I said shout outs to Mr. Romaine, because even after the shit I did, after all the bad shit that happened afterwards, when my mom passed away, he allowed me to destroy that whole fucking room. And I remember when a table was going to fly on him, I tried stopping the table, but it was so heavy. But Mr. Romaine, when I was outbursting about my mom's passing, every time we looked at each other, there was no words that needed to be said. He allowed me to do this because this is to vent out my anger, my frustration about my mom's passing. He knew. Mr. Main looked at me like when I threw that table and it was going his way, I tried to stop that shit. He looked at me, table one armed, like, I got it. I understand you. That's why I say Mr. Romaine is easily one of my best teachers of all time, because even back in 7th grade and the grades before then, he saw potential in me. And, I think he loved me like his very own. That's the crazy part. I think. I'm not 100%, but I felt like I was pretty close with him on that level and whatnot. Out of every kid, in my opinion. Because I was so nice to him all the time. We were nice to each other. We would joke with each other. He would understand my thought process and whatnot. And this is probably the downfall of middle school. I had no Louie during this time period. We kind of had to mourn. I mean, we did mourn together, but it was when we were at home. You know what I mean? Since we weren't in the same school anymore, I was 8th grade, he was 9th grade, so he moved to the high school. So when that sort of happened, we didn't get to see each other a lot. So, unless we were at home. But the reason why I say 8th grade was so good is because me and Mr. Romaine had a falling out. Like one of the biggest falling outs, I would argue, in my entire life. If not my entire life right now. The biggest falling out. To this point, to this day, I think this is the biggest falling out I've ever had with somebody in my life. And I say that because I was, if I remember correctly, instead of going to work, doing school things, I was pissed off about something. I don't remember specifically. Actually, I do remember. I was chilling with Baptiste, and me and Baptiste would become really good friends during this time period. And, he'd take me along. We would sit. We would do all sorts of things together and whatnot. And Mr. Romaine wouldn't even know what the fuck I'm doing half the time. But I was mad about something, and I know why I was mad. I was getting pissed. I was getting disrespectful. I was doing some bad shit, and 8th grade and whatnot, not doing my work and some other things like that. And I remember I went up to the office and I was like, yo, Mr. Baptiste told me to sit up with this one lady in the office. And I remember Mr. Romaine was passing by, and he passed by, he looked at me and said, I thought Alex was gonna, he assumed that I was going to throw a chair at her. A chair. I'm not lying. No, you want to know what I was doing in that chair? I was sitting there, and Louis is going to get this. I was sitting there drawing. Not even a single negative thought was going through my mind. Why are you standing? I'm standing because I want to stand right now, bro. I'm in a closet. I don't have a place to sit. Well, I do, but then if I sat, I would have been like down here and whatnot. I'm trying to be like around center of the camera. You're going to destroy something? No, like Mr. Romaine thought I was going to do that. And because of that assumption, this is where the falling off started. But actually starts. Because as soon as Mr. Romaine thought that, and all I was doing was sitting there drawing, enjoying my day up there, because I wasn't enjoying my classes anymore. I wasn't enjoying any of that stuff. I remember, after Mr. Romaine said, hey, we're going to throw a chair at her, I walked away. Because the fact, look, this was me back then. Assume anything from me, and you're done. Because this was my mindset. I never liked it when people assumed something of me because the way I looked at someone or whatever. I don't care. Even in a moment, I don't care. If you assume something from me, fuck you, man. Again, because 9 times out of 10, I'm not even thinking about what you're assuming of me I'm going to do. If not 10 times out of 10. I would never do something unless I actually want to do it. You know? Your art is still pretty best, Alex. Yeah, I try in terms of art. I don't know where you're seeing art at in this room, but if others say anything bad, just don't care and don't give a damn. Walk in your own way. It wasn't that simple back then for me. This was 8th grade, Arekkusu TM. And keep in mind, like I said, I'm a preemie, so my brain never fully developed. So it's even younger than what it's supposed to be right now. So when I walked out, when Mr. Romaine said, Alex, get back here, Alex, I walked away because my feelings were fucking hurt. The fact that Mr. Romaine assumed I was going to throw a chair at an innocent person that's done nothing wrong to me in my entire life, I'm going to throw a chair at that to cause problems. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you. That's what I said. And I walked out. Mr. John Baptiste and Mr. Romaine had a whole argument while in front of the office. And I think it was about to get physical. I wasn't sure because I already walked out. I was already hundreds of feet away at that point in time, just walking away. And keep in mind, I was so mad that, again, I closed people off. I don't talk about my feelings, so I walked away. And ever since that day, 8th grade has been one of the roughest years of my life because Mr. Romaine would try to fix it, but I would never let him fix it. I was done with Mr. Romaine in my eyes. I was done. Back then, when he assumed that shit of me throwing a chair at her, at that counselor or whatever, that broke me. That showed me how much you really thought of me in that moment. Even when I was not even mad. I was actually pretty happy, and you'd still assume that of me. And I walked away, and I'm telling you, the next few months to the end of the year and whatnot, take care, bro, and be cool. You are the man, bro. Lots of love. Hey, lots of love to you, too, Sujan. Yeah, Sujan, or Greg? Yeah, Gerg. I can't get that last part down, but I'm going to buy groceries. I'll be back. All right. Hey, buy them groceries. Buy the good ones, bro. Buy the good ones. Hold on, I got to read some of these comments. The reason why I'm not reading comments in this one is because I need to remember and stay focused on what I'm talking about in this stream. Because I want to remember this. But anyway, so after Mr. Romaine, but I'll read all of them after I'm done. Because we're almost done with middle school and we're going to go into high school. And then after high school, I'll talk about everything here and whatnot and everything. But anyway, so I remember after this, Mr. Romaine for a few weeks would try to fix it. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I think me and Mr. Romaine both fucked up, and this is how we kind of broke apart. Mr. John Baptiste, and I was also mad that he even got mad at Mr. John Baptiste for even trying to do stuff with me and trying to chill with me, so I was furious. And this was probably the most I don't know version of me I have ever seen in my life. Even looking back on this right now, even looking back in my own mind, looking back at myself from 8th grade, that mad, I don't know if I could make myself unmad at all during this time period. I felt like I was I wasn't going to listen. I wasn't doing nothing. When Mr. Romaine and them tried to help me, I was doing nothing. I wanted nothing to do with Mr. Romaine. I wanted nothing to do with his class. I wanted nothing. I wanted nothing to do with the men. I wanted nothing. So when Mr. Romaine was trying to tell me about his marriage and how he was going to get into that, brace yourselves, folks, for this moment right here, because this was where me and Mr. Romaine completely broke off. I literally looked right in his face and I said, God, so help me on this. Fuck your marriage. Right in front of him. When I said that, even I could say, if I was there in that moment right then and there, when I said that to him back in the day, even I would have been like, yo, you went way too fucking far. Don't ever say that. But me then, I was not having it anymore. I was done. Mr. Romaine was done to me. And after I said, fuck his marriage, Mr. Romaine and even John Baptiste were like, John Baptiste was like, and Mr. Romaine did nothing but walk out, I think, after that. And I sat there even more furious. And ever since that day, and I remember later I would try to patch it up, but it wouldn't matter. Because nothing I did or nothing he did was getting to one another when we were trying to fix the issue. It was already over. The connection was over. So every single time I would go to school. After this point. I would go to school to do all my work in the front office because that's where I was. That's where I was all the time. And even after a while, I remember all my schoolwork stopped coming because I would just stop doing it. And basically, I would help around the front office ladies, and just hang around the office. Because trying to go back to Mr. Romaine's class, Mr. Romaine would just call security and get me out. If every time I went back. Because I remember I tried to go back one time and try to patch things up or whatever. Because whatever didn't work. He would send security. He just want me completely out of there. And I would never see any of them again. Right? For the most part. And I remember in the front office, when I was experiencing the front office, I loved it way more than Mr. Romaine's class. I was like, fuck everybody there then, you know what I mean? I don't give a fuck. I'm gone. Thank God I'm gone. I don't want to be here anyway. And it was getting so bad to the point that I think I was actually taken out of middle school as well. I was taken out of middle school entirely later on because Miss Ridge and shit, they didn't know what to do with me, man. Like I said, I wouldn't do the work. I wouldn't do school anymore. Fuck that shit, man. I wouldn't do it. I would not do school anymore. But the teacher aides, I will admit, up there in the office were extremely fucked up because they would talk shit. They actually talked to me a lot. And they said, what class are you from? From Mr. Romaine's class. Ugh, Mr. Romaine, that ugly piece of shit. Yeah, I remember dealing with him. Oh my God, the way he talks, the way he fucking smells. Well, he never really smelled to me, but they said he smelled bad or whatever. But they were always talking shit on Mr. Romaine. And I'm like, I may hate the man right now, but what y'all niggas doing to him is fucked up, talking shit behind his back like that. Because I was there, and I'm a prime example of how Mr. Romaine failed one of his best students. You know? And now I started to see what Andre and EB were going through with Mr. Romaine, because I remember throughout 7th to 8th grade of my period of time there in middle school, now I completely understood why people hated Mr. Romaine. You know, I understood that now, because now I hate Mr. Romaine myself. But, you know, but even when I was trying to end the school year and whatnot, you know, I think one of my last days there, I'm not sure if it was summertime or whatever during that time, but I remember when I went on the bus to go home, Mr. Romaine and I crossed paths one more time, and I tried to say bye, but Mr. Romaine wasn't having it. He was just wearing his shades and walking away. And we walked our different paths, and after that day, never saw that man again. I never saw Mr. Romaine again. And, you know, ever since that day, that I fucked up with Mr. Romaine and stuff, I actually would get dreams and about him, like, pretty frequently. My subconscious still thinks about Mr. Romaine to this very day. I still think about what I said to Mr. Romaine. I still think of, and these dreams in my subconscious can go crazy distances. Like, I'm talking, you know, me 30 years, 20 years down the line, he's still, or 5, 6 years down the line, he's still around, and I'm an older gentleman myself, and I'm apologizing to him, or I'm apologizing to his grandkids or his children or whatever in his family for what I did to him. There are so many different alternative versions of me apologizing to him where he accepts my forgiveness and we end up becoming friends again, and vice versa as well. Still to this day, I still think about Mr. Romaine to this day in that sense. I even tell Chris about it and others about my dreams about Mr. Romaine, because like I said, I still think I fucked up. I definitely did. Like I said, it was definitely uncalled for what I said to him back in 8th grade. Very uncalled for. Motherfucking, oh, it was bad. It was the worst thing I think I've said to somebody. Straight up. Worst thing I said to a teacher. And I was not having it when Mr. Romaine was trying to patch things up with me and whatnot. And I don't know, it was just bad. Me and Mr. Romaine really ended things off on bad terms. And all my teachers were trying to understand where I was coming from, but you know, because not a lot of people know the full story. It's only me, Mr. Rubicaba, and Mr. Romaine that know the full story of why we disconnected. Now you guys know why me and Mr. Romaine disconnected. And I never tried to reconnect with him or anything, because he didn't want to reconnect with me. I won't reconnect with him, so it's like whatever. But so I think subconsciously, deep down as the years went along, I still felt bad and guilty for what I did then. But you know, subconsciously I feel that way. So fucking up with Mr. Romaine was actually, like I said, one of the worst things that's ever happened in my life. I mean, I bet if Mr. Romaine saw Louis, he'd probably still like him, maybe. I don't know. But now let's get on to public high school days. My days going into high school were fun, but very short-lived. I remember in high school, I met a kid named Omar. And this kid, Omar, I remember stories that Mr. Romaine used to tell me that he outran the cops, had to have a helicopter come down and get him. I was like, holy fuck. This Omar kid sounds like to be the worst kid right now on the planet. But when I met Omar, when I met Omar, I remember that's what I was thinking of, right? All the stuff Mr. Romaine told me. I'm like, damn, he must be the worst kid ever, right? Like I said earlier. But when I met Omar and I became best friends almost immediately. Best friends. And I remember high school for a period was really cool with him. I remember I loved hanging out with him in class and whatnot. He was like a brother from another mother, man. We would be doing schoolwork together, like the same science, the same whatever stuff together and whatnot. We did it together, man. We were homies. We were high school homies. high school friends. It felt like Mordecai and Rigby. That's what it felt like to me when I was hanging out with Omar and stuff. But easily the best part of high school, other than Omar and shit, becoming best friends with him, which I still think about him sometimes. Miss you, Omar. If you watch my videos anyway. I hope you're doing all right. I hope your life is really good. By the way, yes, I'm going to do M&L right after this, if not after I'm done. Or maybe give it an hour or two and then I'll do it or whatnot. So that will happen. But yeah, like I remember being friends with Omar. That was cool, but it was so short-lived because high school just wasn't it for me, man. I had freakouts again. I had issues again with things. You know, I also saw another teacher that came back in my life, Miss Kathy, bitch ass. All right. I liked her at first, but that slowly started drifting apart quicker than Mr. Romaine, to be honest. Out of the two of them, if I had to choose to regain like one of the two friends, I'd probably pick Mr. Romaine 10 times over. But enough about that. I say it's short-lived, but easily, let me go back to what I was saying about the best part of high school was. The best part about high school was lunchtime, because I'm talking every motherfucker went out for lunch. Okay, every grade went out for lunch. Everybody was there on campus eating lunch, having a good-ass time. And guess what? Louis was in the same high school as me. So I got to see him. I got to meet his friends at the time and whatnot. I got to meet them, all right? I got to meet Louis. I got to be with Louis again, which was actually a massive W because other than Omar, I had no fucking friends in high school. I had to fucking, I know this may sound like loser energy, but, I had to kick it with that guy over there, okay? Hey, Louis, I'm telling you guys, Louis was like a different breed in high school, dude. I needed him so much in high school. I really did. I needed him by my side so much in high school. It wasn't even funny how much I needed him. How much I truly, like I said, I'm admitting this. How much I truly needed Louis in high school was unprecedented. Because I felt like this is the time in high school where I felt like me and Louis, and this is before we moved out from Santan Valley all the way to where we're at now. But I was freaking out in high school because I felt like school wasn't teaching me anything. I felt like it was going in one ear and out the other with all the learning. And this is when I was super serious on YouTube too as well. So, and all I wanted to do was not only make videos and create stuff for you guys, but I actually wanted to learn something useful in my life. This is something that my dad and none of the teachers understood why I was acting out the way I was. They just assumed I acted out because I wanted to go in online school. That's what my dad practically told me. You're acting out because you want to get out of school and go to online school or something, or just be home all the time. And I'm like, no, that is not why I'm acting out. I am acting out because school is teaching me absolutely nothing. They are not teaching me how to pay bills. They are not teaching me the importance of life after high school. They are teaching me none of that. They are teaching me the same 5th grade level stuff. And that is why I was freaking out to the point that I didn't want to be there. All I was doing was wasting 9 to 10, if not 12 hours of my life being at that shitty high school. Fuck the Coyotes. Fuck half the kids in that school. I hate over half of them. I was being taught nothing, damn it. I was being taught nothing. No one understood that. That's why I was so pissed when I got taken out of high school and everyone there now just assumes I'm only out of here because of I just wanted to freak out and wanted to leave. Like I said, the main reason why I freaked out in high school, had all those issues and whatnot, is because I wasn't being taught anything. Not the useful stuff. Shit I didn't care about. Shit that doesn't even matter in the grand scheme of things. That's why I freaked out. That's why I had the outburst. That's why I ended up being the way that I was in high school anyway. And literally, this is why I said I needed Louis, because I felt like Louis, out of everyone in that fucking reject of a school, would actually understand where the fuck I'm coming from. I wanted to be with him so bad. Every time I freaked out, I would go sit on a fucking bench and wait for him. I needed Louis in high school. I really needed him then. So when I did get the opportunity to see him, it meant the universe. because I felt like I was one in a million in that fucking school. I really did. That's why I'm talking about Louis in high school, because I felt like I really needed him. I really did. I needed him so badly, dude. I was not surviving that school without him. Not because the school was rough or harsh, but it's because, I don't know, I felt like I just really needed him. He'd be the only person to understand me, truly understand me. Because these teachers didn't understand me. They just thought I was another one of those outburst kids. Right? That were just having an outburst because they were mad about something simple or whatever. Nah, man. That's why I say I needed Louis. And sometimes when I had outbursts in high school, like, they would say, wow, your brother never acted like you do. Maybe you should act more like him. Miss Kathy, I don't care what. She better be grateful I was not the type to hit people. Like, I had that much restraint not to hit that bitch. I was straight up gonna falcon punch her shit in. Sorry, not sorry. But after she said that to me, and everyone around me was like, yeah, Louis better than you, dude. Yeah, why don't you act more like him? He's the perfect poster child. And keep this in mind, when me and Louis were growing up, that's how it was too. Louis was the better one at me in everything. So being reminded of my past in that moment when Miss Kathy and all the others were talking that shit, running their mouths saying, why can't you be like him? Why can't you just be like a better influence or an easier kid to manage? And I sat there all the time wondering, just be lucky I haven't done nothing like physical yet. Be grateful that I had a brain to not do anything. I'm grateful I didn't do anything, because I would have went to jail. But that's what I mean when I said I needed Louis so bad, is because I'm getting told off days like this. My dad was coming to the high school like every other day, and I think it was for like 2-3 months straight that I would get called at certain times because the school didn't know what the fuck to do with me. They wanted me out. Right? They just wanted me to leave because they couldn't handle me. And I didn't want to be there with them either. I just wanted to be with my brother Louis, kick it, and fucking leave. I'm not even going to lie. Sometimes I just wanted to get out of the school, ditch that fucking bitch, hop the fence, walk the fuck home. I wanted to do that so many times. But no, then the cops would have been called saying I escaped the campus or whatever the fuck. But that's why I say I really needed Louis in high school in 9th grade, because, again, I felt like he was like my one reason why I was still there. Why I still wanted to be there. Why, I don't know. And I wish Louis would tell me his classes. Because I just would have, and I said this to Chris, I admitted, I said I would have walked in one of Louis' classes. Straight up. Didn't care what building, and asked if he could talk to me for a second. I didn't care what Louis was doing at the time. I would not care. I really needed Louis, and I was going to talk to him right then and there. And I don't care what the teacher says. I would have sat aside of him or pulled him aside and said, Louis, I need you here with me, man. I can't survive this fucking shit. I got a bitch on my dick 24/7 following me wherever the fuck I went, whenever I was acting out because they think I was one of those simple-ass kids. I need you, Louis. I really need you. And I remember, you know, Louis didn't get it. Louis didn't understand what was going on. How could he? I guess. But, you know, I would, after I got taken out, you know, Louis would be like, why are you home so early? And I'm like, I hate school. I really hate school, dude. I did not like high school. I really hated your fucking high school. That you claimed that was peak. It wasn't peak at all for me. It was the opposite. I hated almost everyone and everything down there. You know? It felt like middle school, but 10 times worse. I was older, and I was still freaking out about something. And I remember after my dad finally had enough, he took me out of that high school in general, and I applied to online school, and all my years after that were online, which were ranging from cool to all right. I still don't remember half the shit, but it was cool, I guess. It was okay sometimes. My online school life was nowhere near as interesting as my public school life, in my honest opinion, because, like I said, after I was taken out of high school publicly, I was put in online high school. And I remember Omar would call Louis and ask where the fuck I'm at. Because, like I said, we were homies, and I kind of disappeared without telling him anything, you know? And Omar felt sad that he didn't get to see his favorite nigga in special needs for like 4 years. That class became ultimately more boring. And on top of that, in high school, public high school, I would sit there watching One Punch Man videos to help me cope. Help me throughout that day. Watching Saitama versus Boros 24/7, because that was the coolest fight, in my opinion, back in high school. Or Saitama just doing anything cool was the peak of shit to me. So that helped me a lot through high school. And then also Taylor Kroon's becoming Incredible Hulk. This didn't help either, but having Taylor Kroon's become Incredible Hulk going all over the fucking walls and all over the goddamn place, that didn't help because she wanted to go home 24/7 too. I bet she was put in online school as well, so that's the funny part. And me and Omar would always make fun of her ass kind of all the time, calling her She-Hulk and shit, because she would be way more angrier than me, all the time. Me and Omar just fucking laughed. I was like, the first female Super Saiyan has arrived in front of us, and Omar would just laugh, and Omar would say some shit too, and whatnot. That's how me and Omar got along all the time. We just got along. We were friends. We were homies. But, honestly, yeah, I think the only thing I probably regret in school was probably Mr. Romaine, out of everything public school related. And probably maybe a little bit of high school too, in terms of Omar's side of things, like not being with Omar for the whole 4 years, or even until we moved out to a new place. Which, by the way, when I went to during ninth grade, when we moved, I think it was September or November, or whatever time period we moved from Santan to here. I remember I was still in ninth grade, but I wasn't in school for a while because the shit from the other ninth grade, my ninth grade classes happened and whatnot. But anyways, online classes were ranging from fun to cool. I got into a lot of stuff during online classes. I think I would even stream, but I remember so many times when I wanted to do online, like during the times of online school, I wanted to do nothing but watch anime. There would be sometimes where I ditched class to go watch Yu Yu Hakusho and all that stuff and whatnot. There would be times where I just wanted to see Louis all day, or there would be fucking times where I just wanted to do whatever I wanted, because I'm the type of dude that wants to do what he wants to do. I'm not the type of dude that wants to do what other people want me to do, unless you're somebody I give a fuck about. Like, for example, Louis, my dad, Nick, some people in chat here, Chris, you name it. If y'all tell me to go do something, I'll fucking do it. But if it's some rando that I don't even know about, fuck you. Eat my dick. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. Other than them, people that I really care about, love to death, I won't listen to you. Well, what I mean is like, I won't listen to you. Like, anybody that I recognize or know, I'll listen to y'all. But people that I don't know / don't care about on that level, fuck you. Bye. Because that's how it was back then. Or that's how it was, like, even now, I would argue. I don't even know how to fill out a job application, or pay a bill, or whatever. I'm just barely now understanding how to pay for shit on my own. And I'm barely doing that right? But my point is, school was rough for me. Public school was some of the roughest shit in my life. And so many moments where I wish mom was looking down on me and just trying to give me strength to survive some of this shit. I don't know what she would think if she saw me in high school. She'd probably be pissed. Because I remember when I was getting kicked out of Ellsworth and stuff and Harmon, she was yelling up a storm at Dad, talking about, you need to get Alex on the day. I might need to make a mic turns with my mom one day. That's a whole video in itself. But love you, Mom, by the way. No disrespect towards you, never. But my point is like I said, that's school for me. It was very rough, and there was very little, if not, there are chunks of time where it was good, where I was making new friends and whatnot. But other than making friends, there was so much bad. There was so much negativity, like the shit in elementary, getting kicked out for what? Not wanting to be of Lubit, to getting kicked out of Harmon as well for bad behavior. And then Symington acting pretty much good the majority, but I would have bad days. And then middle school came around where mom passed away. That was bad. Fucking the Troy saga happened in middle school and stuff. And me acting out was also middle school towards Mr. Main. Me and Mr. Main broke friendship. Ninth grade ended up not being so good. And then off camera in between those times, there were so many times where it was rough. But this isn't my experience about my life. This is my experience about my school life. And let me tell you, like I said, I had my good days in school and I had my really bad days in school. But I can tell you there were a fat majority of times where it was good, but so much of it was so bad. And I felt like high school, out of all the eras, I felt like could have been changed for the better. Mainly because I felt like, I don't know. It's weird. Anyways, I can't go back on it now. That's my experience going into school, like from preschool all the way to now. Or not now, but all the way till after I'm done with high school. And I remember I graduated high school online. I got my diploma. And I even mentioned like vlog 10 to 16 ago, 4 years ago, or 4 or 5 years ago, when I graduated, I was so happy to get out of school because I could focus on YouTube and whatnot and make videos and all that stuff. I can focus on all that stuff now instead of school for a fat majority of the day or online school for the fat majority of the day and then videos and all that other sort of stuff and whatever. But I can't tell you, like I said, school was fun, but I don't know if I would love to revisit it even in my state right now, to be honest. I don't want to be with those kids that say skibbity riz. Forget that. You know what I mean? I'm not being with those fucking kids. Fuck that. Right now, I'm just happy to be with, what I got right there. What I got right over there. I got Louie. I got my dad. I got Miss Pip. I got Muff. And that's what I'm most happy about. In comparison to what I had back then. But anyways, if you enjoyed today's talking a lot, because it's all fucking facts, by the way. If you enjoyed my experience with school, I just had to talk about it because I was just thinking about it when I woke up this morning. I was going to record videos and spend hours recording shorts and stuff, but I didn't feel like it. I wanted to genuinely talk about my school life. Like, instead of talking about it in chunks in vlogs for story time, I wanted to make a dedicated my experience about my life in school, my experience going to school and how it was. And also, I want to thank Tim Berners and stuff for saying so much stuff about his school experience. And I know David was, or who was it? Anime Lover saying, why the fuck you swearing? I'm a man of God and you swearing. It makes me angry. Dude, I've been swearing like all my fucking life. Sorry. Alright? And I want to thank everyone who was here. Sujan, Lord Dracon, Tim Berners, Anime Lover, even though I pissed them off, Brendan, Tymat, Amy, and Sophia. Thank you all for stopping by. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm going to do some M&L. After I get some, maybe I'll go on like a morning jog or whatever. A morning little walk before just kind of get everything out there. But yeah. Anyways, see you guys in a little bit with M&L. So, peace.